What's up, everybody? This is the Hedge Mage, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about one of my favorite turbo combo decks in the format, which you don't really see that in Pauper very much, since there's not a lot of ways to go really fast with combos. Obviously, there is a turbo reanimator, which can be very explosive very quick, but this is another combo deck that tries to win very early. We can definitely win as early as turn 3, and it is an incredibly explosive deck. Definitely a bit of a glass cannon. But if that sounds interesting to you and you'd like to play these types of games, definitely stick around as I'll be going over the complete deck. As always, guys, if you want to support the channel, if you could leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate the support. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at the deck that we're talking about today. That deck is basically hot dogs, but it's infect. And that is why we are winning so early. So in the deck, I got two copies of Immolating Soul Eater. This one we can use Phyrexian mana to pump it up a lot, but that's basically at the cost of pretty much our entire life total. Kind of a last ditch effort, but it's some cards that I have been trying out in the deck, and so far I tend to like it, though I wouldn't run more than two. I also got four copies of Festival Crasher, which is kind of just like a worse Kiln Fiend, but we can get its power does get up to lethal very quick with the deck as well. And I also have four copies of Kiln Fiend, which is the star of the show in this deck. If they don't have any removal early on, we can run away with the game very quickly. And so, in our instant and sorcery pile, I here have one copy of Temur Battle Rage. This is a trample enabler, also can give double strike, which is a big part of winning with the deck. We want to have both trample and double strike. It is probably the most effective way for us to win. Also got one copy of Fling, just in case they have removal before combat damage, but we are up to 20. Uh, but we're up to 20 power. We can just cast Fling and just win out of nowhere if we want to. Also, I'm running three copies of Lava Dart, which is really great for removing any chump blockers if we don't have a way to get double strike. And also, we can cast it for 0 mana from our graveyard with its flashback cost by sacrificing a mountain. So, very good card for the deck. And we are trying to run as many free spells as we possibly can in this list. And then I am also running four copies of Mutagenic Growth. So this costs Phyrexian mana. So we obviously aren't running any going to be running any forests here, so we're just paying life to cast this card. So really helps get the power up on Kiln Fiend as well as just another free spell. And then we got to run at least three protection spells, so three Apostles Blessing. This also has Phyrexian mana, and so we're just playing one generic for it just to uh, either protect our creatures, but I've also used this in ways to just give it protection of whatever color our opponent is playing to bypass their creatures and win. So it is a very good card for the deck as well. Also running four copies of Mana Morphos. Now this is the card that really helps us chain a lot of spells since it replaces the mana that we have used to cast it, as well as letting us draw another card, so it really helps us chain a lot of spells and really go crazy with our Kiln Fiends. So also lets us fix our mana because we do need to at least get one black mana in order to do our turn 3 win, and we do that by casting Tainted Strike and having double strike. Um, We can get up to 10 infect damage very quickly with this, as this grants infect as well as giving the creature +1/+0. So this is how we win. This is our win con right here. It's what the whole deck is basically built around: getting a Kiln Fiend very big and then casting Tainted Strike and winning. And then in our sorceries here, I got one copy of Reckless Charge. This is also a very versatile card for the deck, as if our Kiln Fiends and our Festival Crashes have been dealt with early game and we draw into another and our opponent seems to think that we are out of plays, this card lets us go crazy when they have kind of abandoned all reason and have tapped out against us, so we can drop our Kiln Fiend, give it haste, play a bunch of spells, and win. So very nice card. Also has flashback, so if it fails the first time, we can try again. And then we got four copies of Crash Through. This is a Trampler Enabler, also replaces itself since it also lets us draw a card. And then we also have four copies of Assault Strobe. This grants Double Strike, so a very good card for the deck, as we do want to get Double Strike and Trample if we can. And then I also got four copies of Ancestral Anger. This also lets us draw cards as well as giving Trample, and it also buffs our creatures the more times we have cast Ancestral Anger over the course in the game, since it counts all the cards named Ancestral Anger in our graveyard as well for the buff. And then in our mana base, we're on a 17 land build. I have one copy of Forgotten Cave in case we are flooding out and we need to draw some cards. Running four copies of Geothermal Bog, since we do need to make sure that we have black mana for our Tainted Strike, as that's the whole point of the deck. Also running one Swamp for the same reason. And we are also, and then it is all basic mountains from there, and that is the main deck. So let's take a look at what I have been running in the sideboard for this. Definitely got to be bringing in duress against really really any control matchups or any other like tempo decks, because we want to get rid of their interaction, since that really is what destroys our plan. We're kind of hoping our opponents are playing more proactive decks and not interactive ones that live on instant speed. It's kind of a hope and the prayer for the Pauper meta, but that's why we bring in Duress. I'm only bringing in one since we don't have a ton of black sources, so we don't want to have dead cards in our hand as well. Then we got two copies of Flaring Pain to kind of fight against Prismatic Strands and Moment's Peace, since those can really stop us from doing what we want. Also has Flashback, so it was a very, very good card for the deck. And then four copies of Pyroblast. So this is going to work very well against any deck running blue, as well as allowing us to target our own spells and play more instants and sorceries, triggering Kiln Fiend or Festival Crasher to increase their power. So very useful for us. And then four copies of Nihil Spellbomb. Mostly I'm trying to hate on Prismatic Strands and Moment's Peace, but also works against Terror. Terror usually don't drop their 5/5s till a bit later, so we can definitely use it against them, though that's not what I mainly use it for. Mostly it's to fight against cards that have flashback, like Prismatic Strands or Moment's Peace, since those kind of really stop us from wanting to do our thing. And then I got one copy of End the Festivities, try and work against any chump blockers they might have and sweep the board. And then we got three copies of Raise the Effigy. This is a very interesting card for the deck, as it has two modes. We can deal with artifacts, so we're definitely bringing this in against Affinity to destroy their artifacts. If they don't have any artifacts that we want to destroy, we can also just use it to increase the power of our creatures, which definitely helps us win quicker. Very versatile card for the deck. Uh, And then we have one copy of Rotten Reunion. This also helps us hate on the graveyard against key cards like Prismatic Strands. Also creates these zombie tokens. They have decayed, so they're not around for very long, but sometimes in a pinch, uh getting a uh getting this decayed zombie can be really useful as just another creature to get the amount of damage through that we need, since all we can use all of our pump spells against them as well. They don't get as big as Kiln Fiends or as Festival Crashers, but sometimes all we need to do is get their power up to 5, give them Trample and Double Strike, and we can run away with the game with another Tainted Strike. Can happen sometimes. It's not really the main thing you want to be concerned with the deck. It's just an added thing that we get from Rotten Reunion, so it can kind of help smooth some games out. But anyways, that is the deck, guys. It is a pretty spicy brew. Um, it's very much a glass cannon though, so you must be aware of that before playing that. Um, but it not a lot of people are expecting it. I think I did take it to FNM a few months ago. I ended up going 2-1 in the matchups because everyone was playing much slower decks and they kept tapping out on turn 3, and then I was basically like, good game, because I had everything I needed. I was just getting the god draw. It's not always going to happen with the deck. I want to be clear and upfront about that, but it is a very fun deck to play once you learn how to pilot it. It does have a very tough time against control matchups, but against other decks that don't run, maybe 12 to 13 pieces of removal or interaction in their deck, it can be a very fun time, very explosive deck as well. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Of course, I'll be leaving a link to the full list in the description. As always, I hope you are all having a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.